When we add or subtract, whether we know it or not, we're always adding and subtracting like quantities. If we don't have like quantities, it doesn't really make sense to add or subtract them. So we could add 2 apples plus 3 apples equals 5 apples. Or we could add 2 hours plus 3 hours equals 5 hours. But it wouldn't make sense to add 2 hours plus 3 minutes. What would that be? Well, that would be 2 hours and 3 minutes, right? Which is totally different from 5 hours. And it's also totally different from 5 minutes. What does this have to do with adding and subtracting decimals? Well, when we add and subtract whole numbers or decimals, the way we understand ourselves to be adding or subtracting like quantities is to be adding or subtracting like place values. Remember that the digits in a whole number or decimal are organized by place values. And in order to accomplish that, when we write out our addition or subtraction problem, we need to line up the decimal points. Now, the big place that this might get us into trouble if we're doing decimal arithmetic by hand is when we're doing subtraction, because we sometimes forget that any place that's empty has a 0 in it. So if we were to subtract, for example, 34 minus 3.51, well, 34 as a whole number has an invisible decimal point at the end. Lining up the decimal points, I've got 3.51, and then I have invisible zeros in these 2 empty places. So now when I subtract, 0 minus 1, can't do it, gotta borrow. The next place to the left doesn't have any, so I have to borrow 1 more over. 4 becomes a 3. I break that up to get 10 in the next place over. But now I wanted to borrow from that 10. And I get 10 in my last place. Okay, 10 minus 1 is 9. 9 minus 5 is 4. 3 minus 3 is 0. 3 minus another invisible 0, remember. 3 minus 0 is 3. And the decimal point in my answer is just in the same place. One of the big times that we do this is if we're spending money, right? If I have $34 and I spend $3.51, I have $30.49 left. So be aware when we're adding or subtracting decimals, we need to line up the decimal point. We need to remember that every empty place has a 0 in it.